What will be the future of hazard pay as we go into late July? Will it get approved? Will it pass? And how soon could you get that $10,000? Hey everybody, this is LALATE with a second stimulus check and stimulus package update today. This one's about hazard pay, that $10,000 from the federal government, which is proposed in a second stimulus package for essential workers. We have breaking news minutes ago that is related to hazard pay. And we also have a new statement from Nancy Pelosi, which was literally minutes ago and concerns the entire second stimulus package. Let's get right to it. Amazon announced minutes ago that they are launching a program to help their workers, which ostensibly is sort of a spin-off of hazard pay. Let me explain. This is not a program to actually put money in the hands of their workers, but to provide them benefits that they never had. And many are now calling this as sort of the impetus for other employers to get on the bandwagon for hazard pay. If you don't, before I get to the plan, let me recap. If you don't recall, hazard pay is a proposal under the second stimulus package that proposes to give $10,000 to people who are working since January during the pandemic in what are called essential jobs. The calculation is very simple. It includes normal hours and overtime hours for anyone who worked from January through the present and going forward. Take those number of hours and times them by $13 an hour. It would pay up to $10,000 if you worked that many of hours already as a one-time lump sum, provided that you made less than $100,000 last year. If you made more than $100,000 last year, you would be eligible for up to $5,000. If you don't meet either of those thresholds yet, let's say you're at $3,000 or $2,000 or $1,000, that's fine. That's great news because you can continue to work at those jobs and then get the money going forward. The essential part of the definition, what are essential workers, who are essential workers, who qualifies. Yesterday we delivered really the best news I could deliver all week about the hazard pay. I was excited about it. I found a part of the bill, which no one really ever talks about, that says that members of Congress want the definition of essential workers to be broad. It doesn't want it to be limiting, and that employers, employees, and members of Congress are supposed to include, not exclude, as many people into the definition of essential workers. This is also great news for a lot of my viewers on my channel who work at Walmart or Walgreens or CVS or Costco or Target or things like that. I had said to you, you are in essence in a gray area because the definition of essential workers in the bill didn't make clear if you're covered or not covered. What is covered under essential workers are grocery stores and pharmacies, but not covered are stores that are retail operations that have pharmacies in the store. So yesterday's details that I went over, which was great news, said, hey, we want to include as many people as we can include. Well, today, more great news, which is really in the same spirit. Ultimately, you have to have employers also wanting to help their employees, especially if they are in an essential environment and are qualified for essential hazard pay. Well, today, Amazon did exactly that. And this is just a statement minutes ago. This is so exciting. Amazon is launching a neighborhood health clinics for their basically essential workers who are warehouse workers and their families, not just the worker, but also their families in a handful of cities. The company sent in a new statement minutes ago obtained by LALATE. This is incredible. The company is opening, sorry, I'm itching. It's this darn hot summer weather in LA. The company is opening 20 locations across the country to help their essential workers get benefits, get assistance, and get their families benefits that they would not normally have. These are clinics that are being opened today in Phoenix, Louisville, Detroit, San Bernardino, and Dallas-Fort Worth, and that they'll open about 5 cities in the next couple of weeks and keep on growing it to about 20 different cities. These are operated by and staffed by Crossover Health, and they'll be providing healthcare services, ostensibly, I guess, for free, the way it's defined, for Amazon's warehouse workers around the clock, and will have extended hours. They'll be open late night to, quote, accommodate various employee work schedules, not just their employees, but also their families. Darcy Henry of Amazon's Vice President of Human Resources says the clinics are designed to provide a range of preventive care resources for these essential workers in place of emergency or urgent care, which are not only more expensive for patients, but also limiting the care. Quote, we want to solve that for our employees, and the launch of the new neighborhood health centers will provide a range of primary care services for our families across the country. I mean, this really just wants to, I mean, it's just emotionally a great thing to read. I love reading stuff like this. This is a company who understands their employees are essential, Amazon. It understands that you're entitled to hazard pay, but it understands that it wants to not just get you into hazard pay, but wants to provide you a lot more. In this case, the situation is medical assistance for you and even your family. What's important to understand is the movement for hazard pay, the push for hazard pay under second stimulus package has to not just come from the viewers of my channel who are employees, but also the employers. They have to really want to help you because hazard pay is not their money, it's the federal government's money, but they have to do the work to get you the money. The parts of the hazard pay bill that I don't like, that I said very clearly I don't like, are one, that the employers apply for the money, not you. Two, they don't have to apply for the money. And three, they have to do all the bookkeeping of the money, which could include doing it whether you were employed or laid off or fired or terminated or died. They still have to get they still would have to do this calculation for you. And I said, do employers want to do all that work if they aren't compensated for doing that type of work? Here we have Amazon basically pushing the envelope and saying we have to start doing more for our essential workers. And it's that type of kindred spirit that really is so inspiring. It's so positive. It's such great news. It really says, hey, we are starting to see retailers, we are starting to see corporations say we need to do more for our essential workers. This is not the first time that Amazon did this. And last September, they launched a virtual clinic for follow-ups from corporate workers across the Seattle area. If you did not watch our video minutes ago, our earlier video, our first video of today, oh boy, it was even better great news. We had a hot off the presses statement from a member of Congress. No, they are not on vacation all, or they're reachable by cell phone or, Zoom chat from their Tahitian villa. I don't know where they are. But Nancy Pelosi came out and said, we are not going on another vacation. If you don't get the second stimulus package approved by August 8th, we are not going on vacation. I loved it. I mean, we have never seen anything incredible as this since I've been doing second stimulus check videos where someone said, enough is enough. Stop taking your darn vacations. Get this done. It is either she's been reading your comments, you've been calling her offices, or she's been watching the videos of this channel, or all of the above. I'm being facetious, but she literally is saying this is enough is enough. This channel has been confirming for weeks that the second stimulus package would be approved on or around August 7th or 8th or 9th, because that's the last day the members of Congress are in session until they take another vacation. As you know, they're on vacation now, and they have another vacation scheduled August 8th. I have called that truly one of the most despicable, outrageous examples of a lack of caring by congressional figures to take a vacation during a pandemic and not help people as a financial cliff is coming up. The financial cliff includes hazard pay. You've been working in hazardous environments as essential workers since January, and you need to be compensated for that. I mean, we've been talking about hazard pay for a while. I'm one of those few people that's still talking about it because essential workers are so important. And you're all important. You're all important not just to me, but you're important to America. And you risk your lives to do great things, and it's so important that you get compensated now. You don't need to get compensated next year. You need to get compensated now because you're risking your lives to deliver essential jobs. And let's remember the spirit of hazard pay, which I haven't said and I'm sorry I forget to mention this because it's so important. Hazard pay is to say thank you. You risked your lives to keep this country running while we're on lockdown during a pandemic, or we're in partial lockdown or going back to lockdown. It's saying thank you, and it's not a reward. It's basically saying, hey, your job is a lot more risky than it was in February. You know, I'm not going to be negative or throw someone under the bus. Okay, maybe I will. But I mean, if Stephen Mnuchin sits back, or Mitch McConnell, or any people out there that want to sit back and say, you know, those essential workers who are nurses and doctors and grocery store workers, they were already making, you know, this amount of money, you know, in 2019. They're already making this in January. Why do they need more money? Because they're risking their lives for you. So when you go to the grocery store, Mitch, or you go to the grocery store, Steve, and you see these people working behind a sneeze guard in March, and they're covered from head to toe with plastic wrap, as they are at markets in LA, to ensure that they don't get COVID-19, do you think that's their normal job? No. They deserve hazard pay. You deserve hazard pay. And so the great news today is that when you see a big corporation like Amazon saying, you know, our workers are essential, they need to be given more than they're normally given. More, in the case of what I described today, is health and medical benefits, and centers open late night for their families to help them in cases of emergency, of medical emergency. That's showing the dedication of one company to essential workers. I'm not a paid advocate for Amazon. I'm not paid to say this. I am just saying it starts the movement. It starts the motion. Because ultimately, if you have a lot of big boxes, if you have a lot of supermarkets, you have a lot of hospitals saying, you know, we're not very excited about hazard pay. It's scary, and I don't want that to happen. And when we have someone as big as Amazon saying these great things, it's really great news. So there you go. We know the calculation for hazard pay, up to $10,000. Up to $5,000. If you've reached that threshold, it means that it will come as a lump sum. Viewers, let me go over some of the questions I've seen, and I've been answering them. Some really nice comments, and let me answer some of the questions. So viewers have asked, where's the application? There is no application. It hasn't been approved. Bill hasn't been signed. Who would apply? The employers. People have also asked, well, I'm already at, you know, $11,000 based upon that calculation. What would I get? You would get $10,000 if you didn't make over $100,000 last year. The other part of this that's great is people say, well, how soon would I get it? We don't know. But if the second stimulus package is approved around August 7th or August 8th, the funding of this program would be, you know, routed by Treasury or routed by the Fed. And you would likely possibly see it, you know, in 30 days out. It all depends upon the processing time of the employers. When you talk about these programs under the first stimulus package, whether it's PPP or EIDL, and you talk about the rolling out, they usually roll out and take about 30 to 60 days. So I'm not going to tell you, and it would be completely incorrect to say you're going to get hazard pay in July. You're going to hazard pay check in July. No, that's just not going to happen. Could you get a hazard pay check in August? Yes. Could you get a hazard pay check in September? That seems more likely. It absolutely seems more likely because there's a calculation that has to be done by the employer, number of hours times $13 an hour. There has to be an application by the employer to get the funds, and then the employer has to receive the funds or route it to you. There's a couple steps there. The good news is I think it's going to happen. A lot of people are asking me, you think it's going to happen? I think it's going to happen. If you have questions in today's video, drop them in the comments below. If you have questions on whether or not if you're an essential worker, drop that comment. I'm here to help you. I answer as many comments as I can on a regular basis. If you recall, and if you haven't heard it, I will recap shortly what I said in a video a few days ago. Almost all the viewers of this channel that sort of jump into the comments generally are essential workers. The ones that are gray areas I described to you before. The other ones that are gray areas are security guards, auto people. I got a lot of questions from auto people. For some reason, that seems to be a gray area. Next, I had a couple questions where people did warehouse security or add-ons to places that sound like essential workers. For example, someone said they worked at a plasma lab, but worked as a security guard at the plasma lab. My response was, well, the plasma lab is absolutely essential workers. So anyone in the plasma lab, whether you're the parking attendant or you're actually working with the plasma, I don't know what plasma is, as you can tell. I can only know so many things. That's all essential workers. So think that way when going through in your mind. Start the discussion with your fellow employees, start the discussion with your fellow bosses or current bosses, and see what their positions are. Tell them about hazard pay, get it lined up and teed up, because when it rolls out, if it does, it's going to be very exciting. As always, stay with LA for more.